Today is a very sad day in the wrestling world. We have lost three big names. All of them passed away either last night or this morning. And this morning we found out about all three of them within hours of each other. First, we heard Nikolai Volkoff, real name Josip Nikolai Peruzović. He passed away at age 70. Was it soon after that? We heard about Brian Christopher, and I'll be honest, I saw a few tweets talking about Brian Christopher, like there was he might have attempted suicide, but there was all this media reports, he's passed away or he hasn't passed away, he's in dire condition, but he has passed now. He was just 46 years old, just awful. And then we heard not too soon, after that, Brickhouse Brown, real name Frederick Seawright, he passed away. He passed away from prostate cancer. He was sick for, he was sick for over a year. He passed, huge star in the South in the 80s and the 90s. Three names, so I'd like to talk about each individual in order that we found out they passed. So Nikolai, we found out he passed away first. Josip Peruzović, hopefully I got that right, his real name, Croatian wrestler. Of course, he's not really his character wasn't Croatian. He was a major heel in the 80s. He was Nikolai Volkoff, Soviet Union, all that. He got him and the Iron Sheik, one of the most hated tag teams of all time. I'm not so sure you had guys get as much heat. You saw Iron Sheik's tweet today so much. You feel so bad for him. That guy's devastated. Him and Nikolai were, it was his brother to him. Sheik and Volkov got a whole bunch of heat. Before, Nikolai, everyone knows him as just, the Russian who was evil. It was the 80s, it was U.S., the Cold War with the, Soviet Union, all this heat. Of course, everyone remembers him. He would sing the national anthem and they'd throw stuff at him. Probably the most memorable segment was WrestleMania 3. At WrestleMania 3, him and the Iron Sheik are in the ring. He's singing the national anthem, and then you just hear this, and he's getting all this heat. We're throwing stuff at him, throwing garbage at him, and then unbelievable hacksaw Jim Duggan gets a babyface reaction. He takes his 2x4 and smashes it over Nikolai's head or his back. And they were actually having a tag match, and they won the match by DQ. We got such a huge pop at WrestleMania 3. And of course, those 2 years before that, him and the Iron Sheik won the WWF tag team titles at the first WrestleMania. Sheik and Nikolai beat Rock and Roll Express. It was a memorable match. They got a lot of heat. They won the tag titles. They were such a great heel team. And of course, everyone remembers him just as that, but he had a long career before that. He started in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Of course, Croatian wrestler, even though he played Russian. Lots of stints in WWF. 68, he had his first stint, and he left in 71. He went to the AWA, and then he went to Mid-South. He really became a name there. That's probably where his best wrestling work was. And of course, he became a much bigger name, and when he returned to the WWF, he returned in 74, but then he left again. Then of course he left in 1980, and various more in the Mid-South is where he wrestled there. And then of course he had what he's known for was his big run in WWF. Was there for a long time. Then of course he got his major heel run with the Iron Sheik as the tag team. Everyone remembers, if there's one thing we're all going to remember from Nikolai Volkoff is when he stands up and sings the national anthem. I don't know how WWE is going to address it, but they have to do something like that. It's like I listened to the national anthem from the Soviet Union, really memorable for Nikolai. So very sad. 70 years old. So he was released from a hospital in Maryland 2 days before he passed away. He was being treated for dehydration and other issues. Very unfortunate. So my deepest condolences go to his family, and we're all going to remember Nikolai singing the Russian national anthem. Just I hope they do some kind of tribute to that. So my deepest condolences. Then was it soon after we found out about Nikolai, around the same time actually we heard about Brian Christopher Lawler, his full name, passing away, of course, the son of Jerry the King Lawler. So this is a very, sad story. Lots of demons this guy battled throughout his life. He started, his father's Jerry Lawler. He started off, teaming up, in independent promotions. He was not signed to WWE. He started actually when he was 16 years old, so he got a really early start. He was in the business for so long. He eventually got into the WWF in 1997, and of course, this is where, Brian Christopher at one time, there was one thing I thought was, there was this running gag with him and Jerry Lawler. They'd have Brian Christopher on commentary all the time. And everyone knew he was Jerry Lawler's son, but they would never acknowledge it. Everyone knew it. And, they'd have him during lightweight matches. I remember there was one match I remember him being really funny on commentary. I found him just to be really entertaining. Even though he was treated more as a jobber, before, he got over with Too Cool. But, when he was in the lightweight division, I remember the stuff, with Taka Michinoku and him and Jerry would rip on him when he was wrestling a match, I think, at No Way Out in 1998. In Texas. I remember him being very entertaining there, and he would be on commentary for a while, and there would always be this running gag, who like, how are they know each other, and they never really acknowledged that he was Jerry Lawler's son. So eventually he got his really big break when he got over. This is how he got very, very over with Too Cool. So him and Scotty Hotty formed a tag team, really, like in mid-98. They formed a team, and they were like a jobber team for a while. And then until like 99, they changed their names. They went with the names Scotty Hotty for Scott Taylor. He changed his name, and then Brian Christopher changed his name to Grand Master Sexay with instead of sexy, it's Sexay. I thought it was how he spelt it. Very funny. And then they got really over. Then of course what they did was they became baby faces. They eventually added Rikishi. So Rikishi joined them, and they became Too Cool. The three of them were massively over. It was crazy how over these guys were. They were so much fun to watch. Everyone loved watching them. They were a lot of fun to watch. They got, like, as baby faces, when they did that dance, it was incredible. And who could forget the Royal Rumble 2000? When they did that dance in the Royal Rumble, everyone was going nuts. They won a match at WrestleMania that year. Those three were so much fun to watch. They were one of the most over gimmicks, and Rikishi was such a star. And unfortunately, what happened was they decided to turn Rikishi heel. They had him run over Steve Austin, and the whole thing. I did it for The Rock, and that's what killed Too Cool off. That ruined their gimmick. And what happened was when they turned Rikishi heel, he left them. And soon after that, Scotty Hotty breaks his leg. So Brian Christopher, Grand Master Sexay, is pretty much screwed. And then it wasn't soon after that he made a huge mistake. He was caught, I think. He was illegally smuggling drugs from the Canada to U.S. border, and the company fired him in 2001. He went to TNA not too soon after that for a couple years, and he was signed back to WWE in 2004. That, again, like, there really wasn't Too Cool there. And John Laurinaitis really did not care for him. He fired him like a month after he was released. I remember when he came back, he had a match with Kane, but again, it wasn't really much. Grandmaster came back in 2011 when he did the whole thing with Jerry Lawler, and that stuff was sad to watch because we all know, like, him and Jerry Lawler, they've always had a tumultuous relationship, never a good relationship there. Lawler, I don't know. I mean, he doesn't really talk about Brian Christopher too much if you listen to his podcast, but the segment they had in 2011, that was really that was real. I mean, he came in, and this was between Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler. So Cole brought in Christopher for heat. He went into Lawler. They shot on each other basically, and then Jerry Lawler says you were a bigger screw up than Charlie Sheen. Which, that was the time when Charlie Sheen was having, all those problems. So he got some heat for that. That was, yeah. I mean, he didn't really get a big reaction when he came out, but I was happy to see him. Then he came back in 2014. He did some stuff with the Old School Raw. And there was also a moment he actually wrestled at the first NXT live event, the first kind of big show Arrival. NXT Arrival, Too Cool made a shock return, and they came back and they challenged the Ascension for the NXT Tag Team titles. It was Too Cool. I remember thinking that was really cool. They got a nice reaction. They lost to the Ascension, but it was cool to see them back there. I was really happy to see Too Cool wrestle out of NXT Arrival. I thought it was a cool, nostalgic moment, even though we all knew they would lose to the Ascension. And, he had more demons, he had more problems. In July of 2018, he was arrested for a DUI, and last night, I believe he attempted suicide. He hung himself in his jail cell, and he passed away. He was in dire condition. He didn't immediately die from hanging himself, but he was rushed to the hospital, and he passed away later this morning, today, and he passed. So deepest condolences to his family, Jerry Lawler, the whole his family. He passed away today. Such a very sad story. 46 years old, really tragic story. And hopefully, he's found peace after how he passed away. He decided to take his own life. I just hope he has found peace, and deepest condolences to his family. And always was very entertained by him as Grand Master Sexay. So rest in peace to Brian Christopher. And the third death, I found out about, was really recent. I found this on the afternoon. Brickhouse Brown, real name Frederick Seawright. So he had a very a long run, not so much in the WWF, but he was a big star. He was a huge star in the South. So in the South, he was pretty much one of the top heels. He was really got a lot of heat. He came in, he started off in 82. In the 80s and 90s, he was a big star. He wrestled a lot in the National Wrestling Alliance. He wrestled throughout the territories in there, and just several different ones. He was a big heel in Memphis. This is from 87 to 97. I think that was really more of where his run came into, those 10 years, from Memphis to the AWA, where he had a feud with Jerry Lawler, and we just talked about Jerry Lawler. I mean, his son died, so they had a big feud there, and he got a lot of he was definitely one of the top heels. And when he went to World Class, he wrestled in both those promotions, and he was definitely a name, and he was pushed as a heel for a long time in the South, and in those times, and what he would do is he briefly had a run in the World Wrestling Federation. He was used as a jobber though, but he was definitely better, known for wrestling in the South. The WWF, just as enhancement talent, he wrestled Triple H actually, and he also wrestled Henry Godwin. But when he returned back into to the South is where he really had various title reigns, tag team title reigns, and he was after that he went to when his career started to wind down, he went to more of the USWA, where he wrestled again sporadically. For 20 years, he did some stuff with Juggalo Championship Wrestling, but it wasn't soon after that. In 2017, when he announced he had been diagnosed with prostate cancer, stage 4. We don't know how long he's been diagnosed, and he announced that it spread into his brain. And there was a very sad incident that happened. On July 20th, he reportedly died from prostate cancer. And then what happened was, it was announced he was still alive. And he actually woke up in the night and told, he was telling his mother, who thought he had died, and they called the coroner, and he told her he was hungry. And it's so sad to see him like that. And he later died July 29th today. So rest in peace, battling prostate cancer. Just 57 years old. So my deepest condolences to Frederick Seawright and the Seawright family, and rest in peace to legendary Brickhouse Brown. So very sad day, Nikolai Volkoff, Brian Christopher, and Brickhouse Brown. Horrible day for professional wrestling, and just a really, really sad day.